Today, Arsenal 4-0 over Newcastle. It wasn't as straightforward for Spurs, though. They left it to the last kick of the game, the 94th minute, to win 3-2. An incredible game at Villa Park, courtesy of Son's winner. Then, of course, all attention switches to Stamford Bridge in the Monday Night Football as Chelsea welcome Manchester United. And then that rearranged game, which is crucial for West Ham, who are currently third from bottom. They go to the champions, Manchester City, on Wednesday. So all changed today, and on the up, the two clubs from North London. Arsenal go to 34 points into the top 10, now just a point behind Manchester United, 2 behind Wolves, 3 behind Sheffield United, but still 6 behind Spurs, who have moved up to 5th today. As it stands, remember, that would be Champions League football, and indeed just a point off Chelsea, having played a game more. Newcastle remain 13th with 31 points, and Aston Villa have missed the opportunity to get any daylight at the bottom. They are still just a point above the drop zone.
4-0 is your biggest league win of the season?
Absolutely. After the break, we started to talk that we had to close the gap with the top teams, that we had to put the draws into wins, and today was the first opportunity for us, and we've done it.
And a few players like Lacazette scored his first goal for a while, Mesut scored his first goal for a while. This is all good.
All good. So pleased for Laka as well, and I'm very pleased with the team's reaction towards him. Players, staff, everybody. You know, he's a player that fights really, really hard for everybody. He's been very unlucky, and hopefully that will bring him confident, and he will know that how much everybody appreciates him.
2 outstanding performers, I thought, today. Your young left-back, Bukayo Saka, he's such a prospect.
Yeah, he's doing really well. He always keeps his head down. He wants to learn. It's a big project, but he's performing like a senior player. And he has the courage to play every day, to make decisions, to risk in the final thirds, and he got rewarded again.
His nutmeg on Lazaro was fantastic.
It was good, yeah.
The other one who I really enjoyed the performance was Dani Ceballos, who obviously hasn't been involved that much, but I thought he was very, very clever today.
Dani is a great example. He was injured, he started to train. I didn't believe that he was fit enough. He has some issues as well, the way he behaved. He completely changed his behaviors. He started to train like an animal, and he was ready to play, and I picked him. I thought he was the best player on the pitch by many minutes in the game.
We've had the Manchester City story this week. That may impact upon Champions League places. We don't really know yet, but do you still think Arsenal can get yourselves into European competition through Premier League?
Still far. We're going to go game by game, do the homework, and here at home we have to be very consistent. We want to have an option in the last 2 or 3 games of the season to be there. So
Stayed friends throughout that second half where Arsenal scored 4 goals and he's still smiling. In terms of Aubameyang's goal, great finish from him, first and foremost.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, but you'd expect that from him once he got in there. I thought he had a lot of time and space. Once Pepe cut inside, I didn't think the 2 defenders done enough to stop the cross, and then he's just pulled himself off onto the back of the centre half. Lazaro maybe should have picked him up. You can see the centre half here, Al, like you pointed out.
From a Newcastle point of view?
Oh, it's terrible defending. I mean, that's what Newcastle wanted Arsenal to do, to come back inside and then put balls like that so the 3 centre-halves can head them away. I mean, there's a lack of communication. You can see Fernandes is trying to tell Lazaro early on to pick him up, to get inside of him, not to give him that free header, and no one goes and picks him. It's a fantastic header. He climbs well, and the direction and the power of the header is brilliant, but from a defensive point of view, it's really poor.
But the way Newcastle have been playing, like you say, with the goals, the first goal in games, particularly away from home, is so crucial for their mindset, isn't it?
Yeah, that's right. And we were saying at half-time, a lot of the time Arsenal were coming inside, and that's what, into the traffic. That's what Newcastle wanted them to do. So when they put a ball in like that, that should be food and drink for those 3 centre-halves to head away, or Lazaro.
Aubameyang continuing his fine form, not only this season, but since he signed for Arsenal. Look at these numbers. Since he put pen to paper as an Arsenal player, only Mo Salah has scored more goals in the Premier League, and indeed Aubameyang is only 2 behind the Liverpool player. And look at the names that Aubameyang is in front of.
Yeah, I think that the glaring thing that stands out to me is that when you look at somebody who's got the capability of scoring goals that frequently, and you look where Arsenal are, you just have to look at where Arsenal would be if he weren't there scoring those goals. I think it's a blessing that he is there, because you can see with some of the times, some of the creativity towards him is not very good, but he takes half chance.
Excuse me.
And that is what you get with the top strikers.
How many times over the past 12 months have we spoken about Vardy, Aguero, Mane, all these goal scorers? He's above them. In his time at Arsenal, they've got a huge decision, and he's got a huge decision to make in the summer because his contract's up. And if he doesn't indicate to Arsenal that he wants to stay and sign a new contract, they have to sell him. They have to sell him in the summer. If he says, or he doesn't want to commit for whatever reason, they'll have to sell him in the summer. It's a big decision both for Arsenal and for him. But it'll be
Arsenal
led
have been there before, haven't they? I mean,
you have to. What do you do? I think without him, we're definitely a mid-table side. I think we're there at the minute, but they've got to
with
do
him.
something.
You're a mid-table side.
I know, but
they're in the top 10.
They're in the top 10, but you know what I mean. The fact is that without him, you really would worry for where Arsenal are. And like you say, he's an asset to the club. If they're going to get something, they're going to have to try and get something from him. I'd be absolutely devastated if he left. But you'd have to kind of think what he's thinking at the moment.
After his goal, the disappointment for Newcastle, 2 minutes 36 seconds later, they were 2 down.
Yeah, no, that's basically game over, isn't it? When you concede 2 straight away after looking relatively solid in that first 45 minutes. Again, poor defending, very good from Arsenal in terms of attacking, sticks it through his legs there, and he gets away from Danny Rose, Pepe, and sticks it away really nice. We'll highlight him here with Danny Rose there. He can be picking. He's worried about what's behind him in Pepe. Then he goes to him. Then he engages with him, and then he just pulls onto to that penalty spot, Pepe, and before Danny Rose realises it's too late, it's in the back of the net.
What I like about that, in the first half, Arsenal weren't trying to get into those spaces where you can get. I still think this is poor defending from both of them, not communicating, but he's done brilliantly to get into that situation. And once you get around Newcastle and get the ball in, that's when they're going to struggle. That's when it's coming in a position where it's not in the air where they can comfortably head it away, and that's where we took advantage of him.
And that'll do him good. He needed that, just his 4th Premier League goal, Pepe.
Yes, and the thing is, it was a game where, he's kept coming inside, and Newcastle played it well in the first half. I think the second half Arsenal came, there was a little bit sharper. And then what he's shown is that, given the opportunities, he will get in the box, he can create, and he can score. I think that people just want to see more from him in open play like that, more taking people on and doing stuff.
I think in terms of what Newcastle have been good at this season, that let them down today in terms of defensively, particularly second half, as I said, reasonably solid, quite happy, quite content going in 0-0 at half-time, hadn't given Arsenal that many, if any at all, chances, but then the second half it was chalk and cheese, wasn't it? Is that they were solid first half, but they were really weak defensively second half and got punished.
Martin de Braak has been excellent this season at times, but he won't want to see the 3rd goal again, will he?
No, it was a poor one, wasn't it, from Ozil? He should do better, shouldn't he? He's had a very good season, and being Newcastle's main player at times, he's had to be. But in terms of this mistake here, it's a basic error straight at him. And he
From an
fumbles it in
Arsenal
the
point
back
of view,
of the net.
35 passes in the build-up.
Yeah, but that's what Arsenal are capable of doing. And if Arsenal get on top of a team like Newcastle, now you see them, they look ragged, they're chasing all over the place. And even there with the goalkeeper, I feel sorry for him because maybe he's thinking it's going to come a little bit harder at him. He's anticipated, and it's in the end, it looks like it's a big mistake from him. But from there, Ozil, for me, has got to do better with the finish. But he's got fortunate, and the goalkeeper may be expecting a little bit more. But Arsenal against a team who are playing as poor as Newcastle with no real offensive kind of threat in the end was easy for them. And then in the end, like I say, they're all over the place now, Newcastle. You can tell with that one, you can see it from behind as well with Lacazette. When he's not scored, was that at first in 9?
Yeah, 9 without a goal.
Yeah, and you could see the confidence, because even with this one, it comes off of his left foot and goes in. You see it from behind the goal in a second. And I was pleased for him. He kind of got a little an assist, and that goal. If you look at it here, look, comes off his leg, and suppose now.
That's what you want as a forward, though, when you haven't scored for so long. All you say, doesn't matter, I can have one off my backside, my knee, the in, however, it doesn't matter how it goes in. When you're a forward, you've been out and you haven't scored for so long, you're just desperate to see it go in the back of the net again. And don't be surprised if he goes on a bit of a run now.
Yeah, he took his opportunity and Eddie Nketiah couldn't take it.
Yeah, he had a couple of opportunities, hit the bar with one, and then for some reason he had a very good chance on his right foot on the inside of and he tried to come in on his left foot, which we sort of looking at each other and why just get your shot away? The opportunities are few and far between at this level. When they come along, don't waste them. Don't try and come back in on your left foot, because he gave up Newcastle the opportunity to take it off him, which they did.
Danny Ceballos, we mentioned his first Premier League minutes under Mikel Arteta. How did he do for you?
Well, he's one of those players. He like I say, he's playing deep in the first half. He can pick the ball up, and his job is to get the ball into Ozil. He's just a bit forward. But in the first half, it was a lot of sideways stuff. But then the second half, he started to do this more. He started to look forward, tried to get the ball in there, and that is when Newcastle are ragged. Then you see them move out of shape, and I think that he could have done better with that chance there at Aubameyang. But you know, what I mean, it was the shape of things to come. And once he gets in this position, bam, you know, you get the runners getting behind Newcastle, and he's got the capability again, Steve, to then hit them, and he can find them with the passes. This one's a great pass. And then you see into Ozil. That is the game plan. You know, him on the ball, comfortable, get it into Ozil in that final third, and then they can start playing from here. And then this is where you get people like Pepe. Like I said, they were very poor here, the Newcastle players. In the first half, that would never have happened. It was too easy, and you can see how happy he is. That's what he should have been doing in the first half. I didn't think his movement in the first half to try and get the ball was dynamic enough, and in the end, he gets a round of applause.
In terms of from a Newcastle point of view, they made changes in the second half when they were 2-0 down. And he had to commit. You'd rather lose the game 4-0 trying to come back and get back into the game than sit at 2-0 and still be tight and still be trying to be compact. They went for it. They went back to a back four, but there was so much space for the Arsenal players, and it was all air time, wasn't it? Take a touch, turn, take another one, pass. Game was over at 2-0.
Yeah. So let's remind ourselves, Arsenal have gone into the top 10 of the table with that second Premier League win under Mikel Arteta. He has, of course, only lost one of his 8 Premier League games. And as I say, they're just suddenly a point behind Manchester United, having played a game more. They are 6 off Spurs in 5th as it stands. That would be Champions League football. They haven't finished outside of the top 6 for 25 years. Can they finish in the top 6 this season?
I think they can finish in the top 6. Whether they can get to the 5th, I think there's teams are going to have to drop points. And when you're looking at Tottenham at the moment, where they dug that out today, Sheffield United look brilliant. They look pretty good, Sheffield United. And they'll take whatever. If Sheffield United finish there, it'd be a magnificent season. Wolves, you feel now with that 5th place, such an important position to finish now, you can feel that they'll kick on. I think it's going to take a lot for Arsenal to finish in 5th now. You know, teams are going to have to drop points, and Arsenal are going to have to really kick on with a run.
I don't see them being good enough to get into the top 5. I think there's a lot of work to be done there, and he won't have the time or the players to do it this season. They're going to have to wait, spend a lot of money in the summer, and do a lot of things differently to what they've been doing, because I don't see them being good enough to get into the top 5.
Okay, and we'll be watching them against Everton.